some MATLAB session. So I will ask you guys to please open your MATLAB window in your computer or laptop or whatever you have, desktop, and we will do some exercises or some simple commands. We will see how they actually gets implemented, and we will also try to address the mismatch between the code that we are using, the script files that we are writing, and the function files that the textbook actually presents to you. So what is the difference between these two lines of thinking, or lines, or basically these two ways of coding in MATLAB is what we will actually see. So we will actually also get to know some useful commands. And after that, we will switch to, again, document camera and work on matrices after we finish the MATLAB exercise. So can you guys open your MATLAB session, and we will actually continue the work that we did in the last class, which is last week around Thursday. I don't remember much. I mean, maybe it's Tuesday or Thursday, but last week we actually conducted the MATLAB session. So we will be just continuing on that and build up on that specific code. So can you open that code in the MATLAB session in front of you, please?
You want us to open the bisection code?
Yeah, the code that we actually worked on. So basically, if you guys can see my screen, and it is just like a whole bunch of MATLAB scripts. Can you guys see the screen right now?
Yes,
Yeah.
perfect.
Great. So this is a code we worked on. I mean, we started with these three lines: clear all CLC. Clear all means clear all the workspace, clear screen, close all the figures. Format long basically means the decimal places will be up to 15 or 16 digits. That's what the numbers will be displayed on the screen. And we worked on this specific line of code for basically finding or implementing the bisection method. So is everybody with me so far? I mean, is everybody has, does everybody have the MATLAB window open in front of you guys?
Yes.
Yes, Professor.
Yeah, cool. So, okay, so what we actually do, I will go through these lines and just explain what we did and what we are going to do now. And then it basically will try to explain the mismatch in what we are doing and what we actually saw. I mean, for most of you who actually know the coding or who are well aware of MATLAB code or function file generation, you probably know what is the difference. But for the rest of you guys who are not well conversant with the MATLAB style of writing or coding, then it will be easy. It will be useful for you. So just for the sake of curiosity, how many of you are comfortable about what the codes are given in the textbook versus what we are doing in the class?
Yeah, it doesn't seem too bad right now.
One, I just got one response out of, I believe, 30. Anybody who is like, who feels like, okay, now we actually understand. I just stopped the share just to see the chat window because I cannot see the chat window by sharing that. I'm just going to share it now. Just give me a second. Okay, very familiar, refresh. So most of you needs a refresher, right? If I'm not wrong.
Yes.
Yeah.
Professor, are you asking about the code
Yes.
in the book or the one that you went over?
And both.
Well, the ones that you've been over, yeah, I'm feeling a little comfortable, but the one in the book, I have no idea.
Okay, so first thing we will try to do is we will see two things in the command window. If you have the MATLAB open in front of you, just type in this thing. So type in what I am typing now. Did you type this statement in the MATLAB command window? Once you type it, just press enter. So once you do that, what it actually does, MATLAB has an inbuilt command or inbuilt function where it can create any function in a symbolic variable. Symbolic variables means you don't need to define what your x is or what your other parameters are. So suppose your function is cosine of x plus 2 of x. This is any arbitrary function. It can be any function. I'm just making up this function at this point of time. So you basically can write or define the function just like in one line statement using this inline command. Inline basically means it is a function, or MATLAB interprets it as a function. So it's function of variable x. So what it does, it actually creates g as an inline function where g of x is defined as cosine of x plus 2 of x. Now, if I press g of, in parentheses, simple parentheses, I say g of 0, it will actually give me the function value. So if I say g of 1, so whatever value I want, whatever x value I actually want, I put that give me the answer. So it is just like a calculator where you basically write this function and you now keep on giving the values of different values of x, and MATLAB will evaluate the function value. Does that make sense to you?
Professor, you cut out a bit.
Yeah, your mic is cutting out, so it looks like you're talking, but we don't hear anything from you.
Oh, is it?
It does it once in a while, which is kind of strange.
Yeah, it's strange as well for me because I'm just using the Wi-Fi of the college. So if here also it is cutting, then let me see if I can get. Yeah, just I will explain again and let me know if if my voice is cutting, and again I will try to explain because I don't know what's the solution at this point. I don't have the wired internet or Ethernet, and I don't know whether it will work or not. Just give me. Okay, let me try again to explain. So what I'm saying here that MATLAB has an inbuilt command where it can define any function using this inline command. So inline function, built-in function. So when you say inline and you define the function inside the parentheses using this single inverted commas, and then you specify the parameter or the argument, then what MATLAB does, it actually defines g as a function which is defined as cosine of x plus 2 times x. Now this is an arbitrary function. It can be any function you like. So it can be the function that we actually started working with. So for example, let me clear all CLC clear screen. I don't have any figures, but I just prefer to clear everything out. Now in this specific code, if you remember, our function was exponential of x minus 2x minus 2. So if I actually say my g is an inline function, which is defined as exponential of x minus 2 times x minus 2, and if I just press enter, MATLAB defined that function. Now, if I say g of 0, I mean, when x is 0, MATLAB evaluate that function and gives me the function value. Is that clear, guys?
Yes,
Yeah.
Professor.
Yeah. So whatever values I can pass on onto the x, I can find the function value. MATLAB can evaluate that. So this is one way of defining the function. Now, how it is going to help us? So what I'm going to do now is ask you to copy all this. So press Control A. So when you press Control A, it will select all the code in this specific, all the lines that are written in this code. So if you press Control, it will select, press Control C, it will copy, and then click on this plus sign. So it basically creates a new script. So if I click on this plus sign, it creates a new script, and I just press Control V. Control V is just paste it. So did everybody follow that, or is everybody?
Yes.
Yeah.
If anybody is missing something, and I will try to explain it. Is everybody good so far?
Yeah, Professor,
Yeah, I'm good.
I just wanted to ask you a quick question.
Go ahead.
Is the inline the same as making an anonymous function?
It's the
Or is-
same. So yeah, I
Same?
have
Oh,
not.
okay.
I'm not just going defining the anonymous. I just go through this inline first, and then I can basically explain about the anonymous function as well.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah, welcome. So is everybody with me so far? Press the new script and paste everything. Yeah.
Yes.
Select those 3 lines and comment it. You know how to comment it. You just press select this and press Control R. Okay. And then press enter. And on the first line, just write function, parenthesis, square brackets, press root equals to, let's say, bisection method. That's the name of the function. And the arguments it needs is this function value, then it requires the bracket intervals, maximum number of iterations, and the tolerance value. Is everybody good so far?
Yeah, I follow you.
So when I'm going to ask you, because I will keep on asking this statement again and again. So when I keep on asking this, if somebody misses that or somebody basically is not following it, please respond so that I can know exactly where you are basically missing the steps. So I hope you are following it. And the thing that we are doing it, let me explain what we are doing. We are just creating a script file into function file. So what we did in the last lecture or last class about the code when we're doing the MATLAB session, we were basically creating a code, or it's a script file. Script file basically means you can write all the lines that the code MATLAB interprets and then executes. So I just wrote this script basically. It actually, sorry, it actually uh, implemented the bisection algorithm and tries to solve for the root for this equation, exponential of x minus 2x minus 2. So we actually did that. Now what we are doing now, we are using the same script file and we are converting into function file. And if that's what we are doing, and the function file must start with this line. The line says it should start with the function, then this square parenthesis, the variable that is going to be an output will be written here. So I'm just saying it as a root that I want an output. And the name of the function I'm saying as bisection method. It can be any name. You can provide any name that you would like, bisection, whatever name you like. And inside this bracket or in this parenthesis, now these are open brackets. These are not square brackets like this. They're simple brackets. Now inside this, I need the function or basically fx. Basically here I'm saying g of x. I'm not defining what g of x is because we already have defined in the command prompt. If you see, g of x is already has been defined in the command prompt. So I don't need to explicitly define my function inside the code or inside the function. So I'm just passing this variable as an argument to this function. So g of x is basically going to be defined in the command window. So g of x is here. A is the starting value of the bracket. B is the end value of the bracket. Max iters is the maximum number of iterations, and tolerance is the whatever tolerance we need. So is everybody okay so far?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Cool. So basically, yeah, is there anybody saying something?
Yeah, so when you run the script, it will actually take the g of x from the command window and run it.
No, just don't run anything at this point of time. I will explain you what we are doing. So g of x is basically defined in the command window, and we will define, I will show you how the g of x goes inside this.
Okay.
Just hold on. So just we are actually completing this function definition, and then I will tell you how g of x is passed. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. So this is not required. Clear all means all the variables are clear screen and close all figures. Generally, I use all these 3 lines every time I write a script file, because it's a good practice that all the previous variables gets cleared from the workspace. So here we don't need it. So I just commented it out. Format long basically means that all the numbers that are going to be displayed will be displayed with a long precision, or basically up to 60 decimal places it will be shown to you. Okay, so from here onwards, you can comment these 3 lines as well. So did you do that? So
Yeah.
R. when you select all these and just press Control R, and these lines will get gone. And then write this line what I am writing now. So I'm writing this thing. If n is less than 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is less than 5, tolerance value is 1 e minus 6. Else if n is less than 4, tolerance is 1 e minus 6, max items is 30. Else if arg n is less than 3, were you able to write these lines from line number 16 to line number 20?
Still writing.
So once you finish writing, I will explain what it means actually. Is everybody good? Okay, are good so far?
So far, so good.
So what we are doing here, what does this mean? N argin is again an inbuilt variable in MATLAB. What it basically says, the number of input arguments. So N stands for number, ARG stands for arguments, in stands for input. So number of input arguments for what? For this specific function which we are creating. So if this function has, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 arguments. If somebody runs this function, I will tell you how to run it later on, but somebody runs it, for example, suppose you have completed the definition and we are running it in the command prompt, and somebody does not specify all the 5 arguments. Somebody only specifies up to 3 or up to 4 arguments. The 5th argument is missing. So in that case, by default, what it will say that it will see the function will say the argument is less than 5. That means tolerance value has not been specified. So I'm just defining tolerance value to be taken here. So instead of giving an error, the function will by default take that tolerance value. Similarly, if the input argument is less than 4, that means somebody is not even specifying the maximum number of iterations. Then in that case, the tolerance will have to be defined, which is default tolerance, and maximum iterations have to be defined as well. So somebody forgot to specify the maximum iterations, then you can basically take that as provide that as a default value. And if somebody does not specify even this bracket number or B value, I mean, it is less than 3. So argument is less than 3. That means you basically specified G and A, which basically means you have not specified the bracket or interval or bracket in which the root lies, the interval at which the root lies. So I'm just saying that in that case, say you can put a message, you can say error, bracket interval is not specified. So that is basically how you are making the code as user friendly as you like. So this is basically the meaning of what N argin basically means. Is everybody clear so far?
Yes.
Professor,
Yeah, go ahead.
this one, I think you're assuming the user put in the order like GAB.
That's the assumption. If it is not the case, then I think there has to be a separate. You can specify the instruction that that the inputs have to be in order. So that's what the inherent assumption is. I mean, you can make it user friendly, but at this point, I am not worried about that. That if the orders change, how it will basically behave. Does it make sense?
Yeah, I just mean, for example, if I miss interval A,
No.
then
That's not. That's not the case. Again, if you miss interval A, then what will happen? The MATLAB will basically think that this is your A, maximum iterations will be your B, and tolerance will be your maximum iteration. So again, it will be basically predicting the inputs in the order that you define.
Yeah, that's why.
So that will be an error, and you can write write separate lines here to make it foolproof. But we are not at least bothered at this point of time. So that is basically we can do it later. At this point, we are assuming that people are following the rules and putting the input arguments as required. So in case somebody forgot to put the last values, then the default values will be MATLAB will be taking like this. Otherwise, there will be errors, and we can basically make another simple lines to check whether everything is in order or not. Okay. Okay, Khoi?
Yes, Professor.
Okay. So after this, everything remains same as it is. There's nothing will change because X start will be here, and instead you don't even need this fun of start of this. You can comment these lines, and then you can say that your function value at the start is equals to X start. Now, G is a function that will be defined inline. Inline in the sense of the command prompt. And fun of function value at the end would be and function value at the middle. I'm making something wrong here. Okay, function value at the middle is equals to G of X. Is everybody okay so far?
No, Professor, you made a comment on all 6 lines. We only have 3 lines at least. I'm not sure where
Because because either you are not using these 3 lines or either you are not using these 3 lines. That's okay. You just need to comment it out.
Okay.
So is everybody okay so far?
Give us 3 seconds to write that.
Yeah, so function value start will be G of X start, function value of end is G of X end, function value of middle is G of X mid. And let me explain what we are doing here. So when I started this code at the very first code, then we actually, if you remember, we started with the function value or the start at the X start is defined explicitly. The functions is explicitly defined here. The function value is evaluated explicitly here. The function value is evaluated explicitly here. So that is a very first code code we wrote. And then we said that, okay, now I can use or evaluate this function outside the script file. So I commented that out and create another function file, problem1_fun, which basically you may have. And if you remember, that is the function file we generated and the last time we are doing. So instead of evaluating the function value inside the script file, we are evaluating the function outside the script. So we are basically using this function generation. So what we are doing now is basically having another shot on having the same evaluations, but using an inline function. So instead of creating a user defined function, our own function, we are basically using an inline function. That's the only change we are making here. Is everybody with me so far?
Yeah, I'm following you.
Yes.
Yeah. Is everybody missing anything? Okay, so if you guys are good, just comment these figures lines as well. You don't need to plot the figure. And once you comment this figure, just press Control S, which is basically to save. When you press Control S, you will see that MATLAB automatically populate the file name with the name of the function which we generate. So file name is bisection method. Just keep the name same. Don't change that name. So just press save. So once you press save, you see that the function file that we are generating, it basically saves the file with the same name as the name of the function itself. Is everybody following it so far?
Yes, sir.
Scroll down a little bit.
Which part?
Right at the end.
So at the end, I just comment out the figure line because I don't want to plot at this point. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. And then press Control S, which is to save, and save with the same name as the function name itself. So don't need to change the name. Now you come to the command prompt, and here you already have defined your G. Just you can check is getting evaluated or not. So G has been defined, and G is the function which is we defined as exponential of x minus 2 of times x. So what we are going to do now, we are basically going to call this function. So you can copy this line, press it over here, and just you can say 0 to the brackets and do not specify anything else. So if you do that and press enter, oops, so what it says max iters. So max iters are not defined. Max. Okay, press equals to as well. I'm just checking. Just give me a second, guys. I'm just trying to. Where is the problem that I'm seeing? Oh, okay, got it. Just let me check one more time, and then we will. Okay. So somehow that was n again. One, two, three, four, five. It will be equal less than 5. So at this point, I am just having the problem with these lines where n argin or this specifically is not taking the value. So I'm just letting it as it is. But instead of not giving only giving 3, just give all the arguments that we required here. I will actually come back to the error later on. So what we are doing is G, A, B. There are 5 arguments. So I specified G as it is. 0 is the A, 2 as the value of B. Maximum iterations I specified 30, and tolerance as 1E minus 6. So when you press that, you will basically see that you actually get to know all the iterations, the different iterations. It gives you different values. And at the end, it basically stops at 22nd iteration, which the middle value is 1.6783, which is the root of that of your function. Is everybody following it so far?
I got an error.
Yeah, same here.
Sorry, come again, please.
It says unrecognized function.
Sorry, I'm not getting what you're saying.
The error message says unrecognized function. That's their message I got.
Same here.
Okay, can you share your screen? So whoever is getting the error, can somebody share the screen? I can try to debug it. Okay. And if you scroll up, please. Up. Oh, okay. GAB and unrecognized functional variable bisection method. Is it not saved in the folder where it is running right now? So is it not saved in the MATLAB folder? Because right now you are running it from MATLAB folder. So where this file is saved, which folder it is saved in?
I saved it to my hard drive.
So can you go to that hard drive? So it is in code. So you have to go to this directory basically. No, you don't replace anything. Basically, if you see here in this, can you see my mouse?
Not quite.
So can you see it is written on the top C colon users, then 16199 and documents and MATLAB. Yeah, in that line, if you click on the folder.
Click on the folder, right?
Yeah, on this line.
Oh, this?
Yeah. If you click on this, just go to the same directory where your codes are saved. You can basically set the working directory. Yeah, basically. Yeah, exactly. G or G, wherever your code is. Then go to that specific folder. No, I'd not go like that, but let's press escape. Now press the arrow button there. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Then go to that. Okay. Go to your code. Yeah, and now run. Not run like that, but run in the command window. Just press command, just in the command window, type that.
Type the same thing?
Same thing, yeah. Okay, it got started. So I guess those who are getting the same error message is the same thing. Basically, you are not running it from the working directory where the code is saved. So can you stop your share, please? I can share my screen.
I'm getting another error, Professor.
Okay, go ahead.
It's undefined function or variable A.
Can you share your screen, please? So undefined function, can you come down, scroll down, please? Oh, okay. So what you are doing, you are basically have to put numbers there. Instead of A and B, you have to press number. A has to be specific number. So otherwise MATLAB will not know what A is. So at this point, MATLAB knows in the command window what G is. So in the command window, yeah. Okay, you can stop your share. I can show mine basically and show you what the problem. Just give me a second, please. So here you have to basically provide a specific value of A, B, maximum number of iterations, and a tolerance. Otherwise, a MATLAB will not know what is A and what is B. In the command window, you have to specify G is specified as it is because we have defined G as an inline function. So if you press G, you already know that G has been defined as an inline function given by this. Now for that, running that function file, you are basically saying G, a value of A, which is 0, value of B, which is 2, maximum iteration is 30, and tolerance value is 1e minus 6. When you press enter, you will basically see the MATLAB code. The function file is basically running. So this is the function file we actually started with, and it is running. Is everybody with me so far?
Yep. Yes, sir. Again, I'm getting the error. I think that my function is undefined.
Because you are not in the same working directory. So if you follow my mouse, you actually go to, so wherever your code is saved, you have to basically, this path has to be same as where your file is saved. So otherwise it will not, MATLAB command will not recognize that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so let me try one more time why it is not taking, okay, it's taking now. It's taking one, but not that. Exciters. I'm just trying to see why it is not going inside this else if loop. So it is going inside this if loop, but it is not going inside the else if loop. That's what it is. I'm trying to debug it. Tolerance. Because if I actually run without the tolerance value, it basically takes the tolerance value by itself. It does not ask for any tolerance value. It gives me the value of the root. So I'm just seeing why this else if loop is not working. N argin is 3, number of input argument is less than 4, then it should actually go inside this value. Let me check what it is doing. It's not going inside this. There is some small glitch here which I am unable at this point to debug why it is going inside this loop but it is not going else if loop. So okay, if
Professor, does there need to be a loop just for an argument check? Because I think it'll still check the arguments regardless if it's in a loop or not.
yeah. I just wanted to specify this way because if it is less than 4, then only I need to have max iterations defined. Otherwise, it should not be defined. Max iterations should be as an input itself. So it will go inside the loop only if it is less than 4 arguments. So 1, 2, 3, 4. If it is less than the 4 argument, then only max iterations has to be defined. And right now it is not going inside that. So I'm just seeing why it is not. It's very simple command. Let me actually check that.
Professor?
Yeah.
For mine, I did 3 separate if loops, and I was able to work with 3 arguments.
Yeah, I was going to do the same thing, but let me check.
Professor, I think because it's less than 5, it actually takes your first argument and just takes total equals 1 e to the negative 6. So like it's not catching that it's less than 4. It's catching that because you're inputting just 3, the first if statement already is triggered.
Oh, okay. If it is less than 5.
So I think what would work is if it's greater than 3 but less than 5, or greater than 4, something like that. So it has to be 2 to catch whether or not only 3 values have been entered or 4 values have been entered.
Let me try. That's what you're saying, right?
Yes.
Okay, that may work. Let me try.
Or there has to be like an equal somewhere. I guess greater than or equal.
Just give me a second, guys. So somehow I'm not seeing the problem at this point of time. So let me use separate if as I was trying to do as somebody also has pointed out, and let me check this. Somehow this statement of argument, input arguments is not going in the loop. Now, I do not know the reason why it should not take it, but at this point of time, what we can do is just for understanding what we are doing, uh, we basically split those if statements in separate if and statements. So basically, first statement was that if my argument input argument is less than 5, that means somebody has not specified tolerance value. I define a tolerance value. If somebody has not specified the maximum iterations, I will specify the maximum iterations. If somebody has not specified B, I will basically give this error message. So for example, I do not specify the B value. It basically says the error bracket interval is not specified, and the code also basically stops with an error. Okay, I mean, we are doing the same thing, Michael, so thank you. I mean, we are basically split into the separate ifs. While we wait, life hacks under home tab in MATLAB environment section, preferences, colors, you can check. What is this, Ruzbel?
Professor, would it change if you know how you were doing the if and the else if before? Would it matter if you changed like the order and how you did it? So if you just did if an
And we can,
argument less than
yeah,
3,
I mean,
display it.
Yeah, I mean, we can.
So I get some answer. I mean, I had no error, but I think it's right based on what I saw last time. The answers seem to be correct, but my code worked.
Something must be wrong, or where I am going, why I'm not able to find why else if was not working. But what I did, I split that. If you guys are with me and you are not yet have lost what we are doing, we have split the if else if statements into 3 if statements. Is everybody with me so far?
Yes, Professor.
Yes.
Everybody is with me. So I just split all if else if statements with 3 if and loops. So if this is less than 5, then I stop it, then I separate if statement, then I separate if statement. So that's basically is going to do the job. So now to recap again, because you already some time has lost and you forgot what we are doing, we are basically using the same script file and converting into a function file. And function file basically means you have to start the line with the function root bisection method is the name that I specified and the arguments that I need to provide. Now I press CLC here, and I just said to you that you can now check whether so G has been defined. Now you can run that function file bisection method by providing the input arguments. If I say G and 0, which is the value of A, and I provide the value of B, then if I press enter, it should run because I am specifying only 3 arguments. It requires 5. And I said that if my argument is less than 4, I'm specifying 3 arguments, and by default, it is going to take the value and the iteration value. Is everybody with me so far?
Yes.
Yeah. And if you press enter, it basically gives me the values. Now, why it is printing out all these numbers? Because if you go scroll down in my line number 44, I am just outputting some value. So I can press semicolon over there and press save. Every time you have to save it if you make changes. Come to the command window, press clear screen, up arrows, and press enter. Then you only get one output, and one output you are getting because this value is returning this value of root. Root is basically nothing but at the end of the iterations, I'm saying that my root is the middle value of my x. So I just said root is equals to x underscore mid. I probably have missed that. I was writing it in between when I was doing some changes. So at the end of the function, at the very end line, you just say root, which is the output argument, and you assign that output argument to the middle value of x. Is everybody following it so far?
Yeah, I'm following you.
Anybody is not following it and missing something, please let me know. You guys are good? Cool. So now what we are doing is now we are making some changes. So what I'm doing is now I'm going to say instead of 30, I am just specifying 10 as my maximum iteration. So remember, if I do not specify my fourth argument is max iteration. So if I specify number 10, that means max iterations will be number 10. So now if I press enter, it is giving me a different number, and it is giving me a number because it is only running up to 10 iteration, and after 10 iteration it is just spitting out the number. Do you see what I'm saying here?
Yeah, I follow you.
Yeah, so what we can do here, we can basically say that if absolute value of function mid is less than tolerance, then I can say that okay, temp, just write these lines. Are you able to write this line, guys? And let me explain you what it is doing. So what I did, I inserted one line before the break statement. So what I'm saying that if my break statement has been found, or basically the function value, the absolute value of function value is less than the tolerance, then I am, excuse me, I am basically writing this line, and I will explain you what it is doing. So what it is doing, it is going to display the line that root obtained after specific number of iteration is that root value. So if you press the save button, and in the command prompt, command window, just say, just enter it, then you will say that not this, basically the message is displayed that a root obtained after 22nd iteration is 1.6783. Getting that?
There's a message when I save the file.
Sorry, come again, please. Sorry, what is the question, Isaac?
Let me try to read the error message, because when I save the file, it's like there's an error message.
What is it? What is the error message?
Actually, Professor, I'm receiving an error on the window command.
So what is the error message? Please let me know. I will try to address that. What is that error message?
It says not enough input arguments.
And did you, can you share your screen, please?
Okay, so here's what I got.
You're not providing any arguments. So if you go scroll up, please. It's not here, but in the code. In the code, go up, go up, go up, scroll up, up. At the very beginning, very up. So if you see the line, what does it read? It says that all these parameters have to be defined. So these are the arguments. So you're not specifying any arguments in your, when you are basically writing, when you're pressing the bisection method. So just writing bisection method will not work, because basically that means you have not given any arguments at all. So if you stop your share, I will show you what I actually mean by that.
Okay.
So, okay. So what I basically mean is, when you're writing the bisection method, it is a function that you have defined, and that function needs the argument. These are the arguments. These are the argument. That is the function value g, which is to be defined. The value of a has to be defined. Value of b has to be defined. You may not define the maximum iterations, because the code we already have specified that if it is not defined, then maximum iteration by default will be taken as 30. I cannot define tolerance. I define tolerance because again, it will take the tolerance by itself. So these are the arguments that are required. Without that, it will give me error. For example, if I just press something like this, as you said, are you getting it?
Yeah, that's what I got.
So did you get what you have? What is the answer to your solution or problem to your, or answer to your problem?
Yes.
Okay, great.
I'm getting another error.
Go ahead.
Can I share my screen?
Please. Okay, so do one thing. So do not put any spaces after this string cat and those things. So do not press any spaces. Okay, and then num2 string, that is fine. Okay, and similarly num2 string, they are the last num2 string. There should not be any spaces there. No, not not there. Yeah, not there as well. After that, num2 string. Yeah, there should not be spaces. Now try save it and run and see what you are getting. Not run, I mean just press bisection. Yeah. Okay, press enter. Okay, yeah, okay, you need to specify. Not it will, okay. Just press enter, see what you're getting, which I get. Okay, you are basically getting it, right?
Thank you.
Okay. Can you stop your share, please? Great. So, okay, so what we are trying to do here, guys, is to make sure that each one of us actually are able to run these lines of code. And the reason being that after this, you probably will understand that whatever we are doing here will actually match with whatever the textbook actually gives you. The textbook, what the textbook says, textbook actually provides you the same definition of the function file. And I probably have written my own lines here, but if you look at the textbook, you will see that it is how the textbook actually does the same thing. Now there are some if commands as well, which we can write here. For example, I can further provide an else if command here that says if I do that, and then I run it using only 10. And it is explain you what we are doing. We are just making it more customized than what already exists. Okay, so what I did, I don't know if you are guys following with me so far, but what I did earlier, I just inserted this one line before the break statement. And this one line is basically just another customization which says that it gives you the root and it gives you a message that root has been found and it is obtained after that number of iterations. And that is what your root is. Now, what this line actually says, strcat basically means string concatenation. String concatenation means if I have a vector, as I told you, the MATLAB understands everything in terms of vector and matrices. So if I have a vector, now vector has not a number, but characters. So characters basically means not character, string. So the first element of the vector is this string, root obtained after space. That is a string. Now I is basically, if you remember, this is the current value of the iteration number. So if I need to, if I convert that into string, I use this specific inbuilt command, which I say is number to string. So what MATLAB does, if you want to convert everything into string, you can use this command and MATLAB will convert the value of I into string. So MATLAB will think that value of I, which is number 22 now, is your string. It's not a number. Then because all the strings, if you remember, if you see, the strings are inside the single inverted comma. Then num to string is basically convert the number into strings. Then again, another line which says iteration is colon, and then the value of the root, again, it needs to be converted into string. So if I have 4 elements in this vector, first element, this string, second element is this string, third element is this string, and fourth element is this string. And I concatenate all of them. Concatenate means combine everything into one statement. I use this string catenations, strcat. And if you see here, I did not press semicolon here because I want to basically see what that output is. And then I said that I put another else if statement. Else if statement, I put it basically to make sure that if somehow the user has not specified the total number of iterations or maximum number of iterations which are required to find the tolerance, required to find the root, then I can give this error message. Basically, it says that root not found, increase maximum number of iterations. So if you have been following so far, and I actually am running this code with not 30, but number 10 iterations, you see that the code will say that, it will say that the function value is not less than the tolerance. That means the root has not been found, and increase the maximum number of iterations. So if I increase it to maximum number of iterations, let's say 15, and run it, again, it will say that root not found. But the answer it is giving me, answer is basically the output of this function. The output of this function is this value root. If I do not specify this root, or do not assign that root, if I comment it out, then it basically will not spit out that number. It will not give me that number. So I need to assign the output. That's a good practice. Always, whatever output argument is, the root has to be assigned somewhere. So let me know if you guys are following me or not so far.
Yes.
Is everybody with me, or is somebody just lost completely what we are doing?
Please explain that line again, the temp with the star cat.
Which one? Which line, Mohammed?
The one that starts with temp.
This one. So it basically does this. See what it is doing. If I say if I run this with maximum iterations 30, then what it says that it will give me the number of iterations after which the root has been found. You see what I'm saying here?
Okay, got it.
Specifying the root, it actually gives me the message that is basically a user-friendly message. And what I'm showing you is how you can make it more user-friendly, more customizable, and what you can use some inbuilt functions to make it more appealing and more display the values more in a better sense. That's what You may not get these things in your textbook because textbook only gives you what it is required. What I'm giving you is something which is basically making your code more user friendly. That's it. Okay.
Got it. Thank you.
If you look at this, it is now all of this line is now under one inverted semicolon, one inverted comma. Basically, that means all this line is one string. So what this string concatenation work does, it actually combines everything inside this into one string. That's what it is doing. So it now considers 22 not as a number but as a string. Similarly, this not as a number but as a string. So actual value of the root is this, and you actually get this message as well. Now, instead of that, if I specify 20 iterations only, then basically it says the root is not found because root is going to be found at 22nd iteration. So instead of 20, if I now increase to 25, then it says the root obtained after 22 iterations is this. Is everybody with me so far?
Yes.
Yeah. So if everybody is with me so far, can you guys do me a favor? Can you guys go to your textbook and look at the function for the bisection method that is given there? Can you look at that? And that is given in, I believe, page number
363.
363. Thank you. So page number 363. Can you go to your textbook and see page number 363? And look at that and let me know if you are not understanding anything that is written over there. Page number 363 and the function bisection that is mentioned there, and just check that and read it and let me know if you are not understanding anything there. Of course, the name of the variables are different. So let me try to explain you. The function f that is used in the book is the same as function g that we are using. So instead of f, we are using g. A, B are the start and stop values. Max iterations is a number, is K max. That's what it used. Tolerance is the tolerance, same variable remains the same. And then it writes everything, some in comment lines that if you basically see, it basically tells you how the functions and how the variables are defined. And then it does the same thing as we were doing. So if you actually read here, you will actually get to know what basically the same thing that we have been doing.
Professor, what's the F line?
So FA and FB, if you up down and scroll in your code, and you will see it is G of X start. It is G of A, G of B. It is the same thing as we are doing here. You see here, line number 30 says X start is A, X end is B, and X mid is middle value of that. So when I say G of A, which is G of X start, is the same as F of A. G of X end is same as F of B, and so on and so forth.
No, I was talking about the line at the end, toward the end of the code in the book. It said F, and then parentheses. And then...
But which one? Which line?
Line number 10 from the bottom.
F printf. Oh, F printf, basically it prints the values in a specific format. So it is printing, if you see the output and in the example 11.5 at the bottom, you see that it prints the numbers, K value, K column, A, B, C, and B minus A by 2. It is the same thing as if you look at our code, it is the same thing as this line number 44. So it is II, which is basically the iteration number, the A value, the B value for every iteration, the middle value, and the function value. That is what actually it is printing. So fprintf is another inbuilt command in MATLAB, and it basically tells that you can print it using specified format. So for %3i is basically 3 decimal places, not 3 decimal places, but 3 digits of integer. Percentage 11.6f means 11 digit integer number with 6 decimal places. Do you see what I'm saying?
Got it. Thank you.
Got it. Any questions, guys, so far? Okay, so if there are no questions, the whole purpose of today's session was to make sure that you feel comfortable with the MATLAB code. Writing your own code, you don't have to copy the code from the textbook. The textbook does the same thing as we are doing here, or you will be doing. The important thing going forward is that, or as a homework assignment problem, not something that you are need to submit in a Dropbox. I'm just preparing a homework problem for you, so I'll be posting it in the Beachboard in this weekend or so. But just before you actually get that homework assigned in the Beachboard, please write your own code for solving the root of the equation using Newton's method and secant's method without looking at what the book is doing or without looking at textbook is doing. So please implement that code in your MATLAB, and that will give you some practice of how to or how the algorithm works and how to code it. And once you actually get the thing working in your code, then you can look at the textbook and see whether there are any differences. But if you straight away look at the code in the textbook, it's basically defeat the whole purpose. So as I'm saying that if you have solution in front of you and you're looking at the solution, it's basically you're not learning anything. But if you are trying out and let's say you have spent 1 day, 2 days, and after 3rd days you are just banging your head on the wall, then you are basically at the top point, that point where you can look at the solution. Does it make sense, guys?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So please, as a homework assignment problem or homework problem, that is not going to be which is needed for submission. And the Beachboard, please write your own MATLAB script for implementing Newton's method and secant's method. So please do so. And from next week onwards, we are going to basically accelerate the pace of our learning. So we are going to basically accelerate some of the methods and description of some of the methods that we need to learn. So before I actually go and try to accelerate the pace, let me ask the whole class, how do you feel the pace is okay, or is it too slow? Is it too fast, or is it what? I mean, how do you feel?
I think the pace is fine, Professor.
So any other feedback from anybody who thinks the pace is not fine, it is basically a bit slow?
I would think it's a little bit.
Yeah, somebody was saying something. Go ahead, please.
I'm just trying to say I'm still catching up because, like I said, this thing's been like 7 years old in my head. So I'm trying to understand every function that we're putting in.
Okay. Any other comment, guys?
I
Somebody.
like the pace. I like the pace that we're going at, but yeah.
Somebody was saying it is slow. So can somebody mention that?
Yeah, I was just mentioning it's a little slow for being the second weekend. I think if there was like a little bit more assignments that kind of gave us, I don't know, areas to read in the book or just some tips to come prepared to the discussion, I think that would be really helpful.
Great, good. So what we are doing, so another assignment for you guys is your chapter number 8 is what I'm not going to do by myself. That is what I expect you guys to know from the previous classes and previous courses. So you guys have to read chapter number 8 before we actually come back on Tuesday for our lab, for our lecture. So chapter number 8, please read it by yourself. And this is nothing but it is just a matrices and how to matrices, how to operate matrices, how to find determinant, how to find inverse. So please read chapter number 8. And I will quickly go through that on Tuesday. And I assume that you guys will have probably known it or know it from your previous lectures or previous courses. So apart from implementing the code of Newton's method and secant method in MATLAB, please also read chapter 8. Is everybody okay so far?
Professor, have you already put the homework on Beachboard?
Not yet. I'm basically preparing it. We'll be doing so quickly. Maybe this weekend we'll do so.
All right.
Yeah. Any other comment, guys?
Professor, I have a question.
Go ahead.
So for the Newton method and secant method, is it just for practice or we need to upload the code?
No, you don't have to upload the code. So just for practice. And once I assign the homework, you will find that your code will be useful in solving that homework.
All right, thanks.
Okay, so we can wrap up today's discussion, and basically, I hope that gives you, most of you will have found it useful. If not, for some small glitches about the if-else if statements for the arguments, input arguments. Apart from that, it basically I hope that it gives you some practice of going through the code and see the differences between what we are doing and what the code that exists in the textbook. And from now onwards, I expect you guys to be able to write your own codes and be able to solve the algorithms that we are going to learn. So with that said, I'm going to wrap up our session today if there are no other concerns and questions. And then we will basically see you on Tuesday. And as I said, on Tuesday, before that, before Tuesday, please make sure that you read chapter number 8. That is important, basically. Otherwise, it will be, basically, it will be too much for you guys.
Hey, Professor. Once class is dismissed, do you mind taking a look at my code just for an error?
Yeah, I will look at it. But apart from that, any other questions and concerns, guys? Okay, if not, then we'll stop today at this point of time. And I'll see you on Tuesday. So, Isaac, you can share your screen. I can share.
Have a good night, Professor.
Thanks, Professor.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see here. Screen. So I keep getting this.
Can you look, go to that line? I can look at it. Okay, string after num to iteration. Okay. And so, okay, so there is a problem here. In the middle, it is str. You have written stri.
Oh, okay. This is.
So just press save and run.
Yes, okay, that was it. It was the I. Wow.
So any other questions for those who are still here? You can stop your share, Isaac.
Okay. Let's see, stop share.
Okay, so if not, then I will see you guys on Tuesday.
All right, see you on Tuesday. Have a good night, Professor. Thank you.
Thank you.